Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Now, before I even begin, I first want to say thank you so much for all your kind comments and words of encouragement that basically say that the channel is helping you, and it's really been valuable to you on the set. Any way that I can relieve a little bit of that pressure on the set is huge because I've been there. I know what it is to not know something and you know trying to figure it out on at the moment. So thank you for that. Okay, having said that, now today we're going to be tackling another video on my series of crossing the line, or the 180 rule, or the you know screen direction. And what we're going to be doing today is what happens if you don't only have two people in the set. What if you have more than one and they cross the line? What do you do then? Say there's three people talking, then all of a sudden one gets up and walks to another part of the room. Then what? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. All right. So let's get to it. Okay, so here we are in a scene from Harry Potter, which is another one of my favorite movies. And this is the scene where Hermione meets Harry Potter and Ron Weasley for the very first time on the train. Now, if you notice the camera positions on the bottom, you have a very basic camera position where the semicircle depicts the right side of the line. Now, you have Hermione looking camera right, and they are looking camera left. Now let's see what happens when she crosses over to the other side, what that does to the camera angles. Okay, so let's take a look. Now she walks in, see how she sits down and she looks at Harry. Now the line is changed. We have a new line that goes across from Harry Potter and Hermione, and she's looking camera left to him, to Harry Potter, and camera right to um, Hermione. Now, if you notice, the look has changed from Ron Weasley because he now is in another position. He basically is in a position where he's too far right for her to look left to him to stay on that side of the line because of the distance between him and Harry Potter. So, what they did was they put the camera in the center there, and now she has to look camera right to Ron Weasley, which establishes a new line between those two characters. Okay. So you may have more than one line, when you're setting up the cameras to make sure that they're looking at each other. So, for example, in this scene where she's looking right to Ron Weasley, now Ron Weasley has to look left to her so that you can have that line be correct. Okay, so here I put the pictures together to make it a little more clear. I know it's a little confusing, but when you look at it through the eyes of the camera, you'll see that it makes sense. Okay, so in the picture above me, you have the wider shot of her crossing in and sitting down. Okay, now look at the distance between Harry Potter and Ron Weasley there. It's quite a bit of difference. Okay, now if they were sitting closer together, they could probably get away with that upper right hand picture of Hermione looking at both Harry Potter and Ron Weasley. But since they're sitting so far apart, they decided to put the camera between them and have her shift her eyes from Harry Potter looking camera left and then looking camera right to Ron Weasley. Okay. And because they did that, now they have to get a look of Ron Weasley looking camera left to Hermione. Okay. So that's, the analogy behind that. It just depends on where the camera ends up and who's talking to who. You have to see, okay, what makes sense for them to be talking to each other. All right. Now this will happen very frequently when you have three people in a scene or even more. They'll put the camera between the characters so that their looks can be correct. um, and also that makes sense. Okay, because if you have one character looking way off in the distance, it's not going to seem like they're actually looking at that person. So when you look at the camera, don't look at where they're positioned. Look at what the camera is looking at. Okay, so many times I will see a scene and I'll say, you know what? He's looking way too far right because it doesn't look like he's looking at her. All right. So you can kind of have to adjust stuff like that. You have to tell the director, say, you know what? I think the look should be a little more camera left because it doesn't look like he's looking at her or him or whoever the subject is. And when you actually look at the setup, when you move back and you look at where the camera is and where they are, it doesn't look anywhere near where they were actually sitting. It's what the camera is looking at is what matters. Okay. Okay, so it's a bit of an illusion of what the camera's actually seeing and what is actually around the actors. All right, so you have to thinking of what is looking through the camera, not necessarily what's around the situation. There's been times when I'm not looking at the monitor and I'll maybe walk into the set from coming in from craft service or something and I'll see, oh my God, that doesn't look right. Wait, what's going on? Because things are moved and the camera's in a different position because they changed angles. And then I'll come in and I'll look at the monitor and I'll say, oh, okay, well that makes sense. So you have to look at it through the eyes of the camera and not what's happening out here. All right, there's been many times when the director wants to get an intimate look with, say, maybe two people, and to get that, they have to get the actors have to be literally up against the lens of the camera to get their looking into that the person's eyes, because even if they're off by just a little bit, it looks like they're looking out here as opposed to looking in here. So many times you'll say, okay, does the eye line match what the other angle was? Say you are on the right side of the line and you're both looking at each other, but say you have one that is looking here and another one that's looking here. You have to make sure that those eye lines match, because otherwise, when you cut back and forth from them, one's going to be looking out here, the other one's going to be looking out here. So you have to make sure that, and this is where I've done screenshots to make sure that I'm matching what the other side was, because if the looks don't match, it's going to break the story of that intimate scene. If one is looking like this and then the other one is looking like this, it's a very subtle difference, but it makes a difference when you're actually filming. Okay, so that's all I have for you for this one. We're going to be tackling another session next time on how to cross the line when you're filming. And so, say, for example, somebody, the director shot a car chase from one end going right to left, and then all of a sudden they shot another one going left to right. Well, how are you going to marry those two pieces together? So that's what we're going to go over in my next video. Okay, so that's all for now. I hope you've learned something today. If you have questions, please leave them in the comments, because this is how I know whether I'm making sense or not. All right, so if something is not clear to you, write them in the comments, because I know there's somebody out there other than you that is probably asking that same question. All right, so okay, so that's it. Like I said, subscribe, give me a thumbs up. What is the other one? Hit the bell in case, so that you can hear or you can be notified when I have another video. All right, okay, that's it for now. Talk to you later.